game plan. In terms of 92.2, where they want to appeal to some privilege, if they want to know, yeah, Rule 32, so look for Rule 32. If you want to know what members' privileges, 32 tells us what privileges are. Freedom of speech. Sorry, Memon Kabinde, your freedom of speech has not been impaired by anything that happened on Monday or is happening right now. And number two, the privileges and immunities specified in the Constitution. Again, it does not apply here. Madam Speaker, Member Nell asked you to give your decision in terms of 93.3. You said, I've decided, but you haven't told us what that decision is. Please, so that dumb people like me and Member Nell can understand what exactly is your decision, please.
The ruling is, Mashe, we are going to continue with your speech. No, it's not. No, we manage it in the team. You don't have to bring much of time.
All right. So, during Monday SOPA, the Freedom missed the golden opportunity as well to restore the confidence of Gauteng residents in his failing government, or in the failing government of the ANC. And that was to tell the people of Gauteng that the e-toll system in its entirety has been scrapped and that the gantries shall be put down, decisively stating the date on which this would happen, which is to remove the e-tolls physically. In welcoming special guests of the House to Monday SOPA as well, the Premier noted a few political struggle veterans, but conveniently ignored or forgot to mention genuine freedom fighters of Apla and Azanla, some of whom are languishing in the Hoshin Mampuru prison in Tshwane. The EFF also wishes to pay tribute to our own generation of everyday heroes and people and contemporary economic freedom fighters who, in the face of increasing aggression, repression of dissent, and state brutality meted out by the SAPS, Red Ants, Metro Police, and other state security agents who take instructions directly from ANC politicians to attack members of EFF and communities during protests, pickets, and demonstrations. Members of EFF have been beaten, arrested, intimidated, harassed, fired from work, and generally persecuted in society for joining this gallant and fearless revolutionary movement. We as EFF, we reaffirm one of our main resolutions as well, to occupy vacant land in Gauteng, to erect temporary homes and establish businesses and cooperatives in spaces where we would not have to pay rental and bond fees for decades and still remain poor and disempowered decades down the line. Many of the people who have never known a day in a proper home, they raise children in back rooms, 2x1s, and shacks in informal settlements. These are indigenous South Africans whose hopes have been revived by the EFF's honest, genuine, and radical policies and programs. Last year, on the 27th of June 2014, the Premier delivered a State of the Province address, and in the address he stated a 5 to 15-year plan to turn GP into an integrated city region. 8 months down the line, this is Monday, on the 23rd of February, the Premier then delivers a 4-year plan of work that government would do to transform, modernize, and re-industrialize, in inverted commas, the province. The two different timeframes is highly misleading and confusing. Were these timelines a thumb-sucking exercise to confuse us deliberately? Is the jamboree of programs presented to us during Monday's SOPA to be evaluated over a 5-year period or 15-year period? The Premier correctly stressed the significance of the economy in solving our problems in Gauteng. Inequality in South Africa is the highest in the world. The Premier also talked about the Freedom Charter's 60th anniversary, highlighting that South Africa belongs to all who lives in it, instead of acknowledging the growing racial and class inequality since the end of apartheid. Blacks have grown poorer. In the same speech, the Premier links Gauteng's so-called transformation, modernization, and reindustrialization strategy, as well as the National Development Plan, as his all-time answers to solving all our problems. Now, this is very misleading, because to mention the NDP, your TMR, and the Freedom Charter in one sentence is not only an insult, but it's completely confusing. The Premier should have used this aspect of the Freedom Charter. The people shall share in the country's wealth. The national wealth of our country, the heritage of South Africans, shall be restored to the people. The mineral wealth beneath the soil, the banks and monopoly industry shall be transferred to the ownership of the people as a whole. All other industry and trade shall be controlled to assist the well-being of the people. All people shall have equal rights to trade where they choose, to manufacture and to enter all trades, crafts and professions. The EFF's 7 non-negotiable cardinal pillars and its 14 complementary pillars are the only viable solution to our economic woes. EFF's policy on land expropriation without compensation is the only thing that gives expression to the Premier's favorite Freedom Charter quote that says, South Africa belongs to all who live in it. Willing buyer, willing seller, Premier, honorable Premier, because I think you're still honorable, although you tell a few lies here and there. Willing buyer, willing seller is not working. It cannot work. The Premier mentions many programs in his 2014 SOPA that were not mentioned in the 2015 plans. For example, 100 to 200 day consultations with all sectors of society to elaborate and detail plans and targets, quote and unquote, including presenting detailed plans to create 300,000 jobs in the OR Tambo Special Economic Zone. The 2015 speech on Monday ignores these promises. The Premier also emphasized that plans in 2014 to eradicate corruption, even in the private sector, but lo and behold, Corruption Watch said what? Gauteng government is the most corrupt government in the country. So what was that promise all about in June 2014? It was a lie. Clinics and schools have not improved much. Natal Spread Hospital people are sleeping on the floor. Bodies are being sold to private mortuaries for profit. By who? Corrupt employees of the state. And why are they corrupt? They learn from the best. While the EFF is calling for a total ban of labor brokers, clinics in Gauteng are proudly using labor brokers. They shut down as and when they feel like, and when one calls the MEC for help to intervene, it takes forever. EFF's solution to occupy vacant land can solve the government's crisis in many areas. Within the housing sector, the ANC government, happy with the centralized economy that has settled Gauteng with a backlog of 861,891 houses. Let me repeat that number because I know you struggle with numbers. 861,891 houses. Backlog since 1996. This means, let me do some mathematics, this means that 41,042 houses is what you should have built more over and above what you have been building for the last 21 years. Okay, let me give you some grace. Let's make it since 1996. Yet, during the Monday SOPA, the Premier promises an additional 680,000. Don't we love numbers? Over the next 4 years. Wow. Do you know what this means, Honorable Premier? Please can I assist you? I did mathematics and physics. This actually means, if you put together the backlog with your 680,000 houses, which I actually want you to build, I'm going to personally watch that you are building them. You now have a new target. Can I give it to you? It's 1,541,891 houses that I want from this ANC government in the next 4 years, and trust me, I'm going to be a pain in your neck. I want those houses. EFF solution. In fact, I don't want matchbox houses. I want quality houses. I want spacious houses. I want houses that look better than Vervoort's houses. Because for you to go and build houses that are worse than Vervoort's houses are an insult to all the liberation struggle heroes that you brought in on Monday. The Premier cannot promise any new government to do projects to stimulate economic activity or jobs for that matter, unless he can give us a positive account for the existing 14 projects that are in GIFA, which is a new name for an agency we established 6 years ago, spent 300 million rand, which translates into what? 50 million rand a year, which will be thrown down the drain. For what? No results. Let me be positive. The only thing I've ever seen, a little bit positive, it's a PPP project that you did in 4 ways. But we all know why you did it, because it supports capitalists, and it supports those fancy golf estates houses that you all live in. So whenever there's capitalist benefit, you're very quick to advance and very quick to work hard. But let me give you kudos just for that one. The Department of Finance's broadband project, obsessed with purchasing tablets for school kids who don't even have decent toilets, who don't even have libraries, who don't even have laboratories. I went to a public education school. It had a laboratory, it had a library, and guess who? Who was running it? The evil National Party. But you, on the other hand, a black government that is always nagging us and preaching to us about your liberation struggle credentials, you actually have the gall to come and tell us that you're going to give our children tablets when you can't give them a decent yard.
You made 2 unparliamentary words in this house. You repeated to say the Premier was telling lies, and this is a lie. It was not a quotation, it was a direct reference. So I'm going to ask you to withdraw those tweets.
Before I respond, can I quote Rule 32? Can I please take my privilege? I'm going to withdraw because I'm a very honest person. That's the only reason I'm going to withdraw, but I'm invoking Rule 32. Mr. Mababulu here.
Don't refer to me, refer to me.
No, but okay, Honorable
Speaker.
Speaker, I'm trying to be friends with you this week because I want to make quality input so that we understand each other. Mr. Mababulu, he quoted Amilcar Cabral. In fact, he was very honest, but we'll have the conversation on another day. He quoted Amilcar Cabral. Fine. He should be quoting that to himself. But I want to quote Lenin to him, lies to often enough and often become the truth. But Mr. Mababulu also used the word liar or lying outside of the context of the quote of Amilcar Cabral.
Can I ask you to withdraw? It's either you withdraw.
I have withdrawn. I withdraw.
Can you sit down?
But also to ask for a privilege based
Can
on
I therefore ask you to sit down? Thank you very much for doing that. Honorable Bloom.
In terms of Rule 32, privileges, Madam Speaker, you've correctly, in my view, ordered Member Mashe to withdraw. If you're going to be consistent, you must please ask the MEC to withdraw as well.
Honorable Moriarty, a quotation is a fact. It has been said, and Mama Brown even referred to the program. So that one is not even Honorable Bloom, can you continue?
Speaker, may I ask for your ruling?
I recognize you, Honorable Moriarty. Can I ask Honorable Bloom to continue?
Madam Speaker, may I ask, I'm entitled to ask for your ruling to be referred to the Rules Committee, please.
That's fine, we will do that.
Thank you.
Honorable Bloom.
Madam Speaker, the Honourable Premier delivered the longest ever opening address in this House. I've been through all of them. It was certainly the longest. I understand that he wanted to flesh out his 10 pillars of radical transformation, modernisation and reindustrialisation, which he calls TMR